Okay, so you're here with us on the deep dive because,
Hmm.
you really want to get to the heart of things.
Right, sorry.
You want to understand, how things work, and we
Mhm.
appreciate that, and
Yeah.
so you gave us this Celestial Shadows, a full story dot PDF, and it looks like, you're pretty interested in the wizarding world and how they deal with the crisis,
Mhm.
and this is a pretty unusual one, so
Yeah. This is a
so let's just dive right into it.
yeah, let's dive in. I mean, what really struck me about this whole narrative is that you've got all this chaos
Right.
that's coming not from, some outside force, some dark wizard or whatever. It's like the very fabric of their world is sort of
Yeah.
coming undone.
It's like a system failure
Yeah, and it's
in the magical world.
it's a very different kind of magical conflict than we usually see.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're talking about these really weird, celestial disturbances, like,
Right.
gargoyles twitching and almost like a crackling in the air.
Yeah, you can feel it.
It's palpable.
Hmm.
And our goal in this deep dive is to really figure out where these anomalies are coming from, at least according to the story and what they mean, in the bigger picture.
Yeah.
And you mentioned that this story really, really intrigued you.
It did. What was it about this that really drew you in?
It was the crisis itself. It's not like a straightforward curse or,
Yeah.
something that's just happening in one place.
Right.
This is like magic is going haywire all over the place.
Yeah.
They talk about, surges that are so strong they overload wards,
Oh, wow.
temporal distortions, things are like flickering in and out of existence.
Right.
Remember that scene in the library?
Oh, yeah.
And then there's these glimpses of like impossible landscapes.
Yeah.
It's
unsettling.
it's really unsettling, and that scene in the library,
Yeah.
it's so vivid.
Uh-huh.
I mean, you can really picture these books just hanging there
Mm-hmm.
in midair,
Hmm.
and the pages are like fluttering.
Yeah, like caught in a wind or something.
Yeah, an invisible current.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, and then you've got Draco, he's coming at it from this really logical, almost scientific way.
Totally.
Yeah, he's trying to map the energy
We're
fluctuation.
just trying to make sense of it.
Yeah. What was your take on that, on his initial reaction?
Well, Draco's always been analytical. It's his background. It's how he's trained. He's looking for patterns.
Yeah.
He wants like a rational explanation.
Yeah.
He's looking for something within the laws of magic as he understands them.
Right.
But then you've got Luna,
Right.
and she doesn't just see floating books. She sees,
Yeah.
she senses this deeper disharmony. Like she says the books are singing
Singing.
and the distortion is swimming.
That's a really different way of experiencing that.
It is completely different.
Do you think that Luna's way of looking at it
Mm-hmm.
almost suggests that there are things about magic that you can't just explain with logic
Yeah, I think that's
and reason?
I think that's a huge part of what the story's getting at.
Yeah.
Luna's picking up on these subtle vibrations,
Oh.
these connections that Draco's kind of missing.
Right.
Because he's so focused on the data.
Yeah.
So it makes you wonder if sometimes you need a more intuitive approach
Yeah.
to really understand something as complex as magic.
Right. Like
Or any complex system for that matter.
Yeah, you can't just break it down into
Okay.
its component parts.
You need to look at the whole picture.
Yeah, and then you have McGonagall.
Right.
She makes this really interesting decision to pair these two up,
Yeah.
Draco and Luna, to investigate.
I mean, who would have thought? Why do you think she did that? Well, she's got this huge crisis on her hands.
Right.
And it's something nobody really understands.
Right.
So I think she realized that she needed more than one perspective.
Yeah.
She needed Draco's methodical approach,
Right.
his grounding in the established magical principles.
Yeah.
But she also needed Luna's insights
Right.
because Luna might see connections that other people miss.
Yeah. It's almost like
It's like having different tools in your toolbox.
yeah.
You wouldn't use a hammer for everything.
Right.
Sometimes you need a screwdriver. Sometimes you need a wrench.
And sometimes you need both.
Exactly. And when you put them together,
Right.
that's when you can really get things done.
Yeah, it's like having a scientist and an artist working together.
Exactly.
Yeah, the scientist is focused on the data.
The details, the measurements.
Yeah, and the artist is looking at
The big picture, the overall feeling.
Yeah, and so the story takes them, all over the Scottish Highlands.
Yeah, they're chasing these anomalies.
Yeah, they're chasing these anomalies. And how does that journey, how does that kind of bring them together? How does it affect their dynamic?
It's a real test for their partnership.
Yeah.
You can see Draco, at first he's kind of skeptical of Luna's methods. I
Right.
mean, she's a little out there.
Yeah.
But then they start finding these places,
Right.
these anomalies, and he starts to see that she's onto something.
Yeah, he starts to see that she's not
Yeah.
just,
Spacey.
Yeah.
She's got a real gift.
Yeah.
And I think for Luna,
Yeah.
Draco's groundedness
Yeah.
probably gives her a sense of stability.
Right.
He's like an anchor, keeps her from floating away.
Right.
And
So they balance each other out.
yeah, and ultimately they end up at this hidden sanctuary,
Right.
this grove with the celestial mirror.
Right in the middle of it.
Yeah, tell us about the mirror. Why is it?
Well, the mirror is like the source of all these disturbances.
Okay.
It's described as this swirling surface.
Yeah, that reflects the cosmos. But now it's fractured. And these celestial images are kind of bleeding into their world.
Yeah.
And Luna, she knows right away that this is important.
Yeah.
She says it reflects and maintains cosmic harmony in their world. So it's not just some passive object.
Right.
It's like a nexus point, a delicate interface
Oh.
between their world and the cosmos.
Okay.
So when it's broken, it doesn't just distort reflections.
Right.
It messes up the flow of magic.
Okay.
And that's what's causing these anomalies.
So it's not just a broken mirror. It's like a broken
It's a-
fundamental law.
It's a broken universal principle.
Yeah. Okay. And then things get really interesting because the story brings in Draco's family history,
Yeah.
his father's secrets.
Yeah.
How does that change things?
What adds this whole other layer to the story.
Yeah.
It's not just about fixing this cosmic catastrophe.
Right.
Now Draco's got to deal with his family's dark side.
Right.
They find that hidden chamber in Malfoy Manor full of forbidden books and artifacts.
Yeah.
And it turns out Draco's father was obsessed with the celestial mirror. He wanted to harness its power.
Oh.
So this whole crisis,
Yeah.
it's not some random event.
The consequence
It's a direct result of his father's actions.
of his father's actions.
It's a legacy that Draco has to confront.
Yeah. It's a lot for him to carry.
Yeah, I can't imagine.
And then you have this beautiful moment
Yes.
where Luna says to him,
Mm-hmm.
the past is like a shadow. It can haunt us, but it doesn't have to define us. You are not your father.
Yeah. What a powerful statement.
So powerful.
What did you think about?
Well, it shows how much Luna understands.
Yeah.
She knows that Draco's carrying this burden,
Yeah.
but she's also giving him hope.
Yeah.
She's saying you can choose your own path.
You're not.
You can break free from the past.
bound by.
You're not defined by your family's mistakes.
Yeah, your family's history.
You have the power to change.
That's huge.
It's a message we all need to hear sometimes. Yeah, absolutely. But as they're trying to figure out how to fix the mirror, they run into these other wizards.
Yeah, these rogue wizards with their own agenda.
Yeah, with a very different agenda. What are they trying to do?
Well, they see the broken mirror as an opportunity.
Oh.
We're not trying to fix it.
They want to exploit it.
They want to use its power for their own purposes.
Yeah.
They've got this whole ideology about pure blood.
Right.
And they want to reshape the world
Wow.
according to their beliefs.
So now it's not just about fixing the mirror.
Right.
It's about stopping them.
It's a race against time.
Yeah.
They have to mend the mirror before these guys get their hands on it.
So this all leads to the confrontation at the observatory.
Right. The final showdown.
Can you describe how Draco and Luna deal with
Yeah.
both the rogue wizards and this crazy magic?
Well, it's amazing to see how they work together.
Yeah.
At first, their style seems so different,
Right.
but now they complement each other perfectly. Draco's attacks are precise and controlled. He's like a surgeon.
Right.
And Luna's magic is more fluid.
Right.
She's almost dancing with the chaotic energy,
Wow.
redirecting it, harmonizing with it.
So they're both essential.
They're both absolutely crucial.
Yeah. And then Draco has to make this big choice.
Yeah, he's at a crossroads.
He could follow in his father's footsteps.
He could embrace the dark side.
Yeah. And use that power for himself.
It would be easy.
But he doesn't.
Chooses a different path.
Yeah. What's the significance of that decision?
It's his redemption. He's rejecting his father's legacy.
Right.
He's choosing to heal instead of destroy.
He's choosing harmony.
He's choosing a better future.
And it's a huge risk.
It is.
I mean, it could have backfired terribly.
It could have destroyed everything.
But it works. But not without a cost to Luna.
Not without a sacrifice.
What happens?
Well, the observatory shakes.
Yeah.
The mirror's energy is going crazy.
Right.
And then finally you see the cracks start to heal.
Wow.
But Luna, she absorbs a ton of that raw energy,
Oh.
and it changes her.
How so?
She becomes like a permanent conduit for celestial energy.
Wow. So she's
Transformed.
fundamentally changed.
Yeah.
And this leads to her leaving Hogwarts and taking on this new mission.
She doesn't leave because she has to.
Right.
She leaves because she's called to something bigger.
Yeah.
She's going to travel the world and heal other broken places.
Wow.
She's going to teach people about the deeper magic she's connected to.
Wow.
She calls it the Song of the Universe.
That's beautiful.
It really is.
And what about Draco?
He goes back to Hogwarts.
But he's changed too,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
What's his new role?
He's not defined by his family anymore.
Yeah.
He's respected. He's a teacher. He's a guardian.
Yeah.
He still carries the weight of his past,
Right.
but he's also got hope for the future.
That's great.
And that
yeah.
last image of him looking at the night sky,
Yeah.
remembering Luna,
Yeah.
it's just beautiful.
It really shows how far they've come.
Yeah.
So to recap our deep dive into celestial shadows, we've seen this crisis that starts with a broken celestial mirror.
Right.
This amazing team of Draco and Luna
Right.
uncovering Draco's family secrets,
Yep.
facing down these rogue wizards, and finally bringing back harmony to the magical world.
Yeah. But not without some big changes for Luna.
Right. And a pretty big redemption arc for Draco.
Definitely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Beyond all the action and magic,
Yeah.
the story really makes you think about legacy,
Yeah.
about second chances, and about the power of collaboration.
Yeah, it shows that, sometimes strength comes from bringing together different viewpoints
Absolutely.
and finding strength in unexpected alliances.
You never know where you'll find your greatest allies.
It really makes you think, doesn't it,
It does.
about how we could be underestimating
Yeah.
the value of different perspectives and how much we could achieve if we work together.
It's about opening ourselves up to new possibilities.
Yeah, after seeing this whole interplay between this cosmic chaos and personal growth, it makes you wonder if the most powerful forces in the universe aren't these big displays of power, but these subtle connections between everything.
The unseen forces that bind us all together.
Yeah, and if we're not paying attention, we might be missing the song of the universe.
That's beautifully put.
It makes you think.
It really does.
What else are we missing out on?
Right. What other wonders are out there?
Yeah, and that's what we try to do with every deep dive.
Exploring the unknown.
So what are you curious about? What other sources have caught your eye?
Yeah, tell us where you want to go next.
Let us know, and we'll dive in together.
We'll see you the next deep dive.
Until then.
Take care.